All right, welcome to another session of RTX Compare. Today we're working with Qwen 3 8B, and this is the Nvidia floating point 4 quantized model. And we're running it off of that device right there, which is a Windows desktop running Windows 11 with a Ryzen 7 CPU. It's the 9350 variant. And a GeForce 5080 with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And we have 32 on board DDR5. And the VRAM is DDR7. So the reason why I'm doing this model is because we want to be able to compare it to Qwen on the DGX. But I've had requests by people to kind of analyze what it's like to be running models on Windows devices. The RTX kind of desktops and notebooks are coming in the fall. These are going to be the unified models where, unified desktop chips where you can probably have up to 128 gigs of GPU and CPU RAM together, which is better for AI. And it's very similar to what the DGX is, but it's using an ARM platform, but you're able to install Windows. There's a lot of interesting discussion on that because it's not native Linux, and you're trying to convince developers to develop on WSL, and it isn't ideal because most Windows developers prefer Ubuntu. Anyways, but for this purpose of this demo, we're just kind of going to be comparing token speed. And what's special about this model is that it's actually a direct kind of collaboration between Nvidia and Alibaba. They had optimized Qwen 3 to be running on NVFP4, which is Nvidia's floating point 4 pattern. And what's important about this build is that if you were to run this GGUF, which is the typical model that people deploy using Olama, even if you're deploying it onto NVIDIA's chips, it's not going to run as fast. But this version, it's designed to probably run 2 to 3 times as fast. So if this model was running on a Radeon 9600 at 50 tokens per second, it's probably going to run 100 to 150. So I don't know about that claim, but let's try it out. So typical call. Tell me all about Tyrannosaurus Rex, and we'll misspell that on purpose. And just to check, let's see. So the load is slow. It's 0% on the GPU. CPU is 10%. It's because it's actually running Docker, which is right here. So Qwen is being run inside of a VLLM instance, or VLLM deployment sitting inside a Docker container. All right, let's give it a run. Let me kind of move this around there so we can see the specs there. I know people like to see it. So doing the query, the load immediately went up to 95%, and here we go. I thought for 3 seconds, prefill was pretty fast. Wow, yeah, that's blazing fast. Look at that. As expected, there's not a lot of data coming out because it's a smaller model. But let's see what we can do. How did T-Rex's hunting strategies compare to other predators of its time? But before I click that, I'm going to make sure that the GPU number goes all the way back down to close to 0. It's probably because I don't want, what I don't want is it doing something else in the background and slowing down the prefill state. I am curious what exactly it's doing, and it's already deployed this. There we go. So it's down to 8%. So let's click on that right there. It's thinking, there we go, it spiked again. So that's 6 seconds, and again, equally as fast. Um, since this model's 8 billion parameters, there's enough space to allocate to KV cache. So I'm not worried that the context window is going to be too small. In fact, I'm pretty confident that we can hold a long conversation, so long as we don't run anything in the background. So yeah, see, it's still continues with the follow-ups, right? And this is a thinking model, so I really like that. I'll provide the link in the description, but we tested Nemotron Nano earlier, also in an NVFP4, and it was pretty impressive. And it was a 9B model, but even at 9B, it was using the rest of the memory on the cache, and this is something pretty similar, but it was pretty stable. Let's try it out with a new chat, same query. Tell me all about T-Rex, see what it does. Okay, it's fast. Let us go back actually to the previous query right there. And what we'll do is actually, I'm going to open up a CSV file and have it analyze it. This is 398 by 9, 398 rows by 9 columns, and it's about automobile information between the 70s, in the 70s. So tell me all about this attachment. Tell me all sorts of statistics. Nice. Again, still fast. Very similar to the T-Rex information. There's not a lot of detail. When we're doing other models that are bigger, they give you cool tables and graphics and statistics and even more data. But since this is an 8 billion parameter model, you can't really expect much. It's not a mixture of experts either, but at least it's serving it fast. Show me the averages and standard deviations for all rows and columns. See how it does. Nice. Very fast. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna play with this a little more. Play with it for the rest of the evening, and we'll stay in this conversation for as long as we can. Let's check the context window, but overall, pretty satisfied. It's not a thorough. They're not thorough answers, but the speed and accuracy are pretty good. All the numbers here look right. Yeah. And yeah, it hasn't gone to disk yet, so pretty impressed with this model. All right. So there we have it. Qwen 3, 8 billion parameter quantized down to NVFP4. Thanks.